Fatal Traditions, the Shocking Honor Killing in the Netherlands. In a harrowing instance of family betrayal and cultural conflict, the Netherlands was shaken by the murder of 18-year-old Ryan al-Najjar, whose life was brutally ended in an alleged honor killing. She was found drowned in the I don't know how to pronounce any of these things, in the Knardijk canal in Lelystad. Ryan's body was bound with 18 meters of tape. Her struggles evident from her father's DNA found under her fingernails. The investigation revealed a chilling narrative. Ryan, who had embraced a more Western lifestyle, including allegedly dating a local Dutch boy and wanting to remove her hijab, became a target within her own family. Her father, Khaled al-Najjar, and her brothers, Mohamed and Muhanad, were accused of planning her murder because she was perceived as bringing dishonor to the family. Shocking details emerged from the case, with prosecutors citing family chat messages that expressed a harsh disdain for Ryan's actions, including statements like, quote, "I hope she comes back in a box," and quote, "She needs a bullet in her head and poison in her body." The chilling indifference of her family highlights the stark and tragic consequences of cultural clashes and the deadly implications of honor based violence. So, I wanted to cover this story because this murder happened some time ago. Let me find the exact date. So, her body was found in May of 2024, but more information, and actually, our lovely volunteer D brought to my attention back then, but I was waiting for the trial to start because more information usually comes out when the prosecution begins. And so now we're starting to see some prosecution. And so basically, this is a family that came to the Netherlands from Syria as refugees. And they had a family with a bunch of kids. And Ryan, as she got older, was adapting to growing up in the Netherlands and adopting more of a, Western lifestyle. And that led to a lot of problems in her family. And there are allegations from neighbors that they would have instances where she would come running up to their house, fleeing her house, like banging on the door, banging on the windows, like, "Please help me, like my parents are trying to kill me, blah blah blah." And they would bring her in, protect her. They, according to interviews with neighbors, they would see that she had like injuries from ropes around her wrists, and they would try to protect her. And there was one neighbor who was being interviewed who said basically that one day they realized that she turned 18 because somewhere in the window of their family's house was maybe some balloons or a sign that was basically celebrating an 18th birthday. And the neighbors said that when they saw that, they were heartbroken. Like, they got sick because they knew that now that she was 18, she was legally allowed to marry. And they knew that she would probably end up getting forced to marry, and they became very worried about her. So, um basically what ended up happening is that there was this evolution of violence against her, and it resulted in her father finding her, this is so bad, wrapping her up in like 18 meters of tape, duct taping her nose shut, duct taping her mouth shut, binding her hands and feet, and throwing her into like the river, like throwing her into the canals, and she drowned. And then they found her body, and slowly over time all these
That's a
details came
very
out.
slow way to die. That's a
Horrible.
horrible way to.
And so, and all of this is alleged because she was dishonoring him. Now there's different ways in which this alleged dishonor happened, but that's the moral of the story. And um then what ended up happening is the dad then fled the country. He flees to Germany, and then from Germany he goes to Turkey, and then they think he's either hiding in Turkey or he probably went back to Syria. So the dad is being tried in absentia, basically. He's not even present in the country. And then after he fled the country, he ended up sending an email in Arabic written to a local journalist outfit or something, basically fully confessing to the crime. And so he's like fully admitted it, and but then been like, "Oh no, my reasons are between me and the judge, blah blah blah." And so now there is this prosecution that's ongoing, and the case right now is against her brothers, who are accused of assisting the father with the murder. And the brothers were 23 years old and 25 years old. And they say that they assisted the father, and the father in his confession and the little bits of communication that have been had said, no, 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 they weren't involved. No, what they weren't involved at all. It was just me. And then he also in his confessions has tried to say that this was not premeditated, that basically they had an argument and they were so angry that he just lost it and did this to her because he couldn't deal with how she was dishonoring him, etc. And
Okay.
but meanwhile, because of the investigation of the prosecution, all of their text messages have come out, and they're like, no, this was premeditated. We can tell by the way that you communicate with each other that this was premeditated. And so, for example, the brother um said to her, the father, oh, and also there was a phone that was found in some of her items when she passed away that had the fingerprints of her brothers on them. So they're like, your fingerprints are all over some of the artifacts of the victim. Like, we were suspicious of you. And so, for example, there was a conversation between the brother and one of the brothers and the dad, and the brother was saying, if she is lying and causing us to lose even more face, she must be punished. This was 12 days before the murder. Um, the family felt that she was acting in too much of a Western way. Um, they the prosecution claimed that the family was openly wishing her death in chat conversations. The mother wrote, "Inshallah, we will see her wrapped in a shroud.
Wow.
Ryan is a disgrace to the family and deserves to die." That was the mom. So basically, they're like, this is all premeditated. Like, you can't try to get the boys, protect the boys from this. You can't protect the boys from justice. Like, they were openly talking about how they all want her to die, amongst each other. Um and I don't know, I think this just goes to show that we really need authorities to be aware of a lot of harmful practices that continue in different communities that come to our countries, and that requires a lot of education, and it also requires accurate data to be reflected. And actually, when Ayaan Hirsi Ali was an MP in the Netherlands, one of the things that she pushed for is for the authorities to actually document cases and collect data on cases of FGM, collect data on cases of honor killings and honor violence. Because she's like, when she was an MP, she was talking about, look, I come from a Somali culture. I know that this is happening, but we're not documenting it. If the Dutch people saw the data of how often this was happening, they'd want to act, because
Mhm.
that's part of a reflection of Dutch values. They'd want to act in protection of these women, but we don't even have data to show that this is happening. But I know that it's happening because it's my experience. And so that was part of the work that she was doing as an MP at the time, to kind of wake up the Dutch society to this underbelly of what was happening within the communities and also within the refugee communities coming to the Netherlands. And so this is like a something that's been ongoing for a very long time, and it's so heartbreaking. I'm wondering if any of our community members from the Netherlands have heard about this case, and if there was any reaction to it. Um, Armin, what are your thoughts?
All right. So there is a tactic. So just be careful with this, right? So a lot of Muslims would try to come. This is the defense mechanism, and I want people on this channel to be completely familiar with it, right? Whenever something like this happens, Muslims will come out and say that Islam does not allow this. In fact, Islam condemns it. And killing an innocent person is haram in Islam. It's a sin, and you will be punished for it. Okay. Here's how you disarm that. First of all, are they right when they say that? Do you guys know? No, people are saying that's a lie. Hypocrite. No, actually, that's actually correct. It's correct that this is not allowed in Islam. But I will tell you why Islam is still to blame for this, right? I'll show you why this is not a contradiction. So if I say that Islam does not allow this, this is a sin in Islam. Killing an innocent person is not allowed in Islam. I mean, killing even somebody who's sinning like this is not allowed, especially by the family, right? Even if she's doing zina, there needs to be a court, there needs to be a hearing, shit like that, right? Anyways, but even though they're correct, and a lot of, as soon as and they have hadith for that to show you that, and a lot of anti-Islam activists, when they see that, they get disarmed because they don't know where to take it next to show that Islam. Because here's the thing, guys, even though Islam is actually considers this to be a sin, we know statistically that this happens in Islamic community more than anywhere else by a huge margin. So we have the scripture that doesn't allow this, and then we have empirical evidence that shows that across different societies, different cultures, different people with different histories, different geographies, this type of shit happens in Islamic communities more than any other communities by a wide margin. So how is it that if the scripture doesn't allow this, why does this happen in Islamic communities more? It's not the culture, because different cultures, if they're Islamic, they still do this more than other people. It's not the economy, because you could isolate that factor and you could see that Islamic communities do that more. It's not based on geography. It's not based on history. Islam
It's not based on ethnicity.
It's not based on ethnicity. It seems to be, Islam seems to be a major influencing factor here, right? So the reason why you could still blame this on Islam is Islam teaches a whole bunch of things and makes you sensitive about certain things that eventually leads to this type of behavior, right? For example, physical abuse of women. So Islam does tell you that you cannot kill your child, right? But Islam does allow physically abusing women. In fact, it commands it. So the taboo barrier of raising your hand on a female body, a female member of your family, has been removed. In fact, it has been commanded. Beating your wife, beating your sister, daughter, all of these taboos have been removed by it's in the Quran that you're supposed to be doing that, right? The purity culture, the shame over having your family member being sexually available to some people that you don't want, the shame associated with that for the entire family, that comes from Islam. The low punishment associated with killing your children because they are technically yours, and especially your daughters, that comes from Islam. So for example, in Islam, so let me actually tell you the ranking, okay? If you kill someone else, there's huge punishment for it. If you kill your own child, because technically those were yours, the punishment is significantly lower. If you're a father killing your child, the punishment is much lower than a mother killing their own child. If you kill your daughter, the punishment is significantly lower than if you kill your son. So you can see the hierarchy here. So yes, it's still wrong. There's still punishment associated with it, but the lowest amount of punishment is for a father killing his own daughter. Like if he killed his son, that would even have higher punishment. So you could see that killing female members of your family, especially your daughters, is seen as significantly less bad compared to other people. So yes, technically, if you come out and say that Islam doesn't allow this and this is a sin in Islam, technically that's true. But all of these other things that I told you is the reason why all of them put together, the normalization of physically abusing women, the purity culture and the shame associated with losing the honor of your manhood. Your manhood is being challenged if you cannot control the woman in your family. This comes from Islam. The fact that you're a less of a man if you do not sexually, if women in your household are not sexually being controlled, right? And you protecting your manhood and how your identity as a man and your face, and the honor that you have, that being challenged is worse than the sensitivity associated with that is more of a social taboo than anything else. That comes from Islam. All of this put together causes these types of events happening more in Islamic communities. So again, it's true at this Islam does not allow this, but Islam is still to be blamed for this, and this is not a contradiction.
Well, because it essentially takes tribal norms of collective
Right.
face over individual rights and cements it. It cements it in time.
Hmm.
And you just see this very clearly. Like, so for example, a couple weeks ago, and then we do need to move to the next story, unfortunately, but we
Yeah.
covered the story of an attempted honor killing that happened in Lacey, Washington. And so, like outside of Seattle. And the officer footage, the body cam footage of the officers that responded to this attempted honor killing that happened in public outside of the victim's school. Um, that body cam footage was released recently. And so we talked about the story several weeks ago, but I watched the body cam footage very recently, and it's so interesting because just a refresh, there was a girl, and basically she had a boyfriend, and the parents were going to make this girl return to Iraq and marry. She was a minor, she's 17, and marry an older man. And so basically take her overseas, force her into a marriage with an older man as she's still legally a child, which is illegal. And then when for whatever reason they basically find her at a bus stop outside of her school, the father starts attacking her, trying to strangle her in front of everyone. He gets prevented by a random passerby. A random dude in a pickup truck stops and pulls him off of his daughter as the teenagers are trying to fight him off. Then the mom who was there starts trying to strangle her. So in the body cam footage you can watch them arrest the dad, and then they actually don't arrest the mom at first because I think they don't fully know what happened. And the mom is there, and the mom is apoplectic. The mom is apoplectic, screaming, "Ya Allah, ya Allah," as because they're taking her husband away. They're arresting him. And she's screaming and sobbing and like hitting herself. And the older sister is there. The older sister of
Mm.
the victim is there. I didn't know this when it was first reported. And you watch the older sister, and the older sister is sobbing, tears on her face because her dad is being arrested. The older
Wow.
sister herself doesn't even look like she's that young. She looks like she's also maybe 18 max. And they're sobbing, crying, freaking out because the dad is getting arrested, not because of the attempted murder of her sister that just happened in public. And then allegedly the mom tried to run away to Canada, but ended up getting arrested, and now they're in jail. Um, so I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that because it kind of demonstrates how this is all about the collective over protecting the individual um from the majority, from abuses from the majoritarian group. Um yeah, the body cam footage is absolutely crazy, and let me tell you, people in the comments were not having it. Um,
That's so
yeah.
imagine like I mean these people know that by doing this in a Western country, like in Iran, for example, if somebody does this to their child, to their daughter, they know that they're gonna get like I don't know, maybe 2 years, and they're going to be out, and they come with a clean conscience, and they cleanse the honor of their family, and everything is now good now, because they're going to get very little punishment for killing their own daughter, right? But in Netherlands or in other places, these people know that I mean, they're going to be ruining their lives forever,
But it's worth it.
potentially, and but consider it worth it. Like, imagine the level of disgust and shame they're feeling because their daughter is going out and having, relationship with somebody that she's not supposed to, that they're willing to pay such a heavy price for cleansing their honor. Like, imagine the emotional ir- uh, insanity. Like, this is like, I don't know, this is so weird that these people feel this much disgust for things that other people find normal. Like, imagine a normal dad, his daughter is dating somebody, like, yeah, my daughter is dating, she's of the age of dating, and these people consider it like hell, like they're having their own personal hell in their mind, that they're willing to just ruin their lives to fix it. It's insane. Anyways.
Yeah.
You
But
see if
anyways,
there's any.
I'm gonna continue to follow this prosecution a lot more. The next stages of the prosecution aren't happening for a few more months, unfortunately. So we don't really know much about sentencing or anything yet, or who's going to be found guilty. Because, like I said, they're trying to have the brothers go down for this, and the dad tried in absentia. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, let's read the
Oops.
comments that Dee selected for us.
Yeah, this person is saying, "Take your idiocy and go effing home. We don't drown our daughters here." God. It's not a religion. It's a planet-wide crime scene.
It's both. What do you mean? Like, it's a religion? A lot of people say, like, oh, Islam is so bad, it's not a religion. I'm like, Islam is so bad because it's a religion. Like, it gets to be this bad by having the protection of being a religion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What are these kinds doing in the Western world? Why they don't fit in? Glad the Dutch boy is still alive. Well, they were granted asylum. It's a pretty simple answer.
Fuck.
Like, how did they get here? Well, I can tell you very easily. Oh my gosh, Hellboy was here. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Hellboy
Hellboy.
June.
Is that what I say?
Hellboy, for those you don't know, is
Hellboy's.
a very, very important member of our Atheist Republic Persian community. He does a lot of
Yeah.
great stuff for us. So thank you,
Yes,
Hellboy.
he said
Shouts out.
this a while back. I don't know if he's still here, but you were in the middle of reading, so I didn't want to interrupt you.
Gingosaurus gave a super chat, thank you, saying unrelated story, Happy Purim, Susanna and Armin. Oh my goodness, that's right. Happy Purim to you.
Yeah, by the way, Purim is very interesting because for many years the Islamic Republic has tried to convince Iranian that Purim in Israel is about Israelis celebrating the death of Iranians, and I see so many people in Israel trying to communicate to Iranians that this is not at all that. And I'm so interested. In fact, the Jews united with the Persian king. Anyways,
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry,
won't keep
Armin. We're
going.
just coming up to the
Yeah.
our
Sorry.
end of the show. And then we got another super chat. I think this is from Zaire. I think this person has a Bengali name, so I can't read this. It says UK has put an Islamist at the chair of Ofsted. They always sided with Islamists historically. Now they deserve what they are getting. So this is, I actually need to look into this news. I only saw like a headline yesterday to know what the hell is happening. Basically, yeah. So long story short, I'm going to look into this and we might talk about this.
I don't agree with them deserving it, because we're talking about a whole nation of people that are not the vast majority of them not being involved in the decision making process. And we're talking about children that weren't even born when these decisions were being made and stuff like that. We're talking about millions of civilians. So I never think like deserving is a good way to talk about mass numbers of people.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.